Hello, welcome to another episode of Playing Telephone. I'm Scarlett Sanchez.
I'm Dennis Kluba.
Hello.
Hey. Hey, what's going on? We got kind of a funky setup this week just because it's Thanksgiving week. We're trying to get things done. We're going back home to St. Louis for, 3 or 4 days at a time, but we're kind of off on our days.
Yeah,
but we'll have some overlap.
Yeah, for a couple of days, I think so.
Yeah.
Actual Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What are your Thanksgiving plans? What do you guys usually do?
People ask me that, and I was like...
Do you not eat?
We do. I think I'll probably do something with my immediate family, and then it depends because part of my extended family literally lives in my same neighborhood.
Okay.
So I'll probably end up going over there at some point, but it's not like a crazy big bash. It's more of just, 10 more people.
Okay.
So nothing too crazy. How about you?
Yeah, we just keep it immediate family, but like all my brothers and sisters are coming in. So Nicholas and Dimitri from Chicago, and then my sister will be there. All the kiddos.
New boo will be there.
Yeah.
For a little bit, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So the whole family gets together, and then we do this little bourbon tasting the next day.
I know. I'm
Dennis
missing
is
it.
missing out on it.
I have to get
LA.
back.
I know. All good. No hard feelings.
Regardless, though, this has been a wild weekend. Number one, you got sick.
I know. I'm still struggling here, but I'm here. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm here. We both kind of had, I feel like it's going around right now where there's like something going around where in the past couple of weeks, we've both had little days where we're like,
I know.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
You made it seem like I'm always dying though, whenever I told you I was sick.
You go to urgent care a lot.
I've been to urgent care like twice
in the past life. 4 months. I think you overreact sometimes.
Oh my God. You need to pull up the receipts because I need to know the last time.
This one was good though.
Yeah?
This time you needed it probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
You believed me this time around.
Yeah, I was like, probably go to the doctor.
Okay, cool.
So you're like, I couldn't breathe. So I'm like, yeah, okay. It's a good one.
And then after you made fun of me, you're like, let me know if you need anything.
Yeah. I was like, let me know though. Are you okay?
Yeah,
but you're okay. You're gonna make it.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it. Are you gonna make it?
To be seen.
Okay.
Who knows? Regardless, though, this weekend was just jarring from a details and like points of view and perspectives that on multiple fronts of really scary, upsetting news that was coming out of majority of the music industry, right?
Yeah. Diddy, obviously massive in the music industry, has Bad Boy Records, and has been in the game for a really long time. Yeah. Also a very successful businessman. Honestly, a lot of people that have come up in the industry too have been either trained by him or have worked with him at some point in time. So hearing this name being accused of such, wild things, and it's by his ex-girlfriend, Cassie, who he dated for about 13 years on and off. They met back in 2005. He helped her kind of launch her career really when her label made a deal with his to get her first self-titled album, to get that out there. Yeah. And so during that time, she talks about the abuse that she dealt with him, which involved rape, emotional, verbal abuse, also physical abuse, and also sex trafficking.
Yeah. All this stuff coming to light too. And this is what I was going to ask you, which when I heard all of this was wild because I had not heard anything about this lawsuit or case beforehand. And to be honest, I'm sure there's stuff out there, but I hadn't really paid attention up to this point of bad things towards Diddy. So it wasn't like a lawsuit where it was Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez, where it had been in the works for...
Right.
And it had been publicly covered in the media that, you knew it was ongoing. These things were happening. It was more like on our desk in the news was this happened. And then the lawsuit was settled. Yeah. And I was
and settled very, very quickly within 24 hours. With what you're saying, with not really knowing that much about it, I think that through that lawsuit, she also explained that a lot of the people around him were involved as well, like kind of controlling, making sure nothing got out. And he had a team around him to make sure they kept this among his people. And though, with that lawsuit, the big accusations that she made, Diddy had said that she had threatened that she was going to expose everything about their relationship. Yeah. If he didn't give her $30 million. Right. So she said that she was going to do this big tell-all book, and in order for him not to do that, she'd have to pay up. And then when he decided he wasn't going to pay that amount, that's when she filed the lawsuit.
Yeah. And so my question now with that is, and I don't, because we won't know because it got settled out of court. So we don't actually have the number or the figure. Mm-hmm. Do you think that that was above that $30 million mark, or do you think that was below? But I'm saying the accusations that she is putting forth and put out in the lawsuit in a court of law, if you ask me, lawyer hat on, judge hat on, I don't know. Those damages seem much, much, much higher than $30 million. Is that not? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely involve prison time and jail time, considering, she said he punched her, beat her, kicked her, also had given her drugs and alcohol, forcing her to have sex with male prostitutes, filmed it, directed it, and masturbated during it. He even had like names for that called freak-offs. And that the drugs included ecstasy, cocaine, ketamine, marijuana, just so many things. And then also when the relationship ended back in 2018, where they finally were able to cut ties, was when she claimed that he raped her too. So yeah, with what you're saying, I think it could have involved jail time, more money and everything. I mean, I don't know the exact, the lengths of what it would be, but I would say he probably ended up paying less than that $30 million.
But then, you think less? Okay. But I'm also wondering, too, because of his business and all of his assets, and the also interesting part is that she was under contract or, signed to Bad Boy Records label what's the, I don't know the right legal term again, but what's like extortion or like, like where we'll talk about it later with the Kesha situation of where you're business bound and so they're forcing to derail or damage your career. That's some sort of legal term as well of like withholding like blackmail or something like that with like a Harvey Weinstein type situation of, oh, well, I'm not going to promote your album and you're not going to be a star if you don't do these things. Yeah.
Well, I think that's just what happens a lot. And I think that's what the legal or the justice system is kind of trying to figure out.
Right.
But now it's just creating a whole other issue where now they're just settling it out of court for a certain amount of money and we're not getting all of the information because it's not disclosed to the public.
Yeah.
So here's one thing, we're having someone speak out, bring forward these issues, which I think is what Cassie ultimately wanted to do, was to at least tell her story. Granted, people think it was for money, but now we're seeing another situation where now people see it settled just 24 days or 24 hours later. And now you can maybe get a cash grab quicker than you're even anticipating instead of going through that entire trial. To me, though, it makes sense that she wanted to settle it personally because going through a trial, more things were going to come up and it could have been a more traumatic experience for her to have to relive everything too. Completely. So I think it's better to settle personally. Again, also not a lawyer, but also Diddy's lawyers wanted to emphasize the fact that just because they settled does not mean that he's accepting any wrongdoing. He is still completely denying all the accusations that she made against him.
This is so interesting to me. I think as a lawyer, even as an individual, regardless, I'm not saying guilty or not guilty, what's been proven or not, I think you have to say this if you're Diddy and his team. But my feeling, and this is not based on fact or anything like that, my feeling is the amount of, just the sheer amount of accusations that went against Diddy from Cassie and the amount of the timeline, 2006 or 2005 until 2018, 12 years, the detail of this lawsuit, I think is too accurate to be false. What do you think? Or to be a lie.
Yeah. I mean, I do believe her too. Yeah. Granted, people can make up lies.
It's true.
I believe this certain case, but there's a case as much detail in Lizzo's and some people aren't finding that to be true. So it's a very difficult line and it's very hard to decipher all of this, which is why there is a justice system that's supposed to figure it out, or they can have lawyers that settle it outside. So yeah, it's very difficult, but I believe her.
At the same time too, which is interesting, I'm not in that situation. I could never know, someone else is pain or like you said, what that pain would be to go and relive those traumatic events in a court of law. But what's your take on okay, I'm going to settle for a sum of money as opposed to actually go through to trial with Diddy and say, and like you said, potentially do jail, cause jail time, whatever comes worse than, doing jail, and then also like losing all of their assets, their freedom,
I think with that, she would have needed to band like more people with her.
Right.
And have it be, I don't know, class action, or have more people come forward. So that way, because in this case, Cassie versus Diddy, it's he said, she said. So it's a little bit more difficult to prove her case. So I think the trial would have been more gruesome, or what's the word? It just would have been more taxing on her. Mm-hmm. So I think unless she would have brought other people, then it would have been a little bit different.
It's kind of like Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yeah. And Johnny came as the winner throughout all of that because it was a he said, she said. Not saying it always goes skewed towards the man, but it can happen. And when it was just Amber versus him, that was kind of how it ended.
And it opened up so much to the media too, which you said it would just
open to the media
be a lot more.
And also it gives more opportunity for Diddy to bring up new lies about her too. So it goes both ways,
Right.
But with that though, there have been people who completely support Cassie and have said that they've seen certain behaviors like this in Diddy before, specifically people that have worked with him, including Aubrey O'Day. Yeah. So
she was originally a part of, so they used to do a show. I loved this show, but that's against the point. But it's called Making the Band, where basically Diddy was in charge of potentially finding these new talents and then producing their act. She was originally a part of Danity Kane, which actually had a decent amount of commercial success, has, a couple different hits. But early on in their career, when Diddy was managing them, basically he made the judgment call to be like, hey, you're no longer going to be a part of the group. Yeah. And what they cited was, I'm sure, creative differences, or you're just not the right fit for the group. But what she later said, which backs up Cassie, is that she was being asked to do things, and she refused to do them, that were not inside of music work relationship. So the question is, okay, is she alluding to those things being these sexual acts, these freak offs, whatever they were, that she was like, I'm not going to do that. And he said, okay, you can't be a part of the group and you're not going to be managed by me.
Yeah. And she said it was just something not talent wise. So it really could be a wide range of whatever it could have been. But yeah, and she even posted after they settled, and she was disappointed in the fact that they settled, because she goes, here we go, money beats the legal system again. So, and
that's exactly what we were talking about of, okay, and we don't know, right? As a victim, do you settle out of court potentially? Like you said, it's that risk of what happens in court, right? Yeah. Do you get completely the media skewed in one direction? It's he said, she said, you come out with no money and your career and name is ruined. Yeah.
At the very least, it does make people question Diddy. It does show that Cassie, had that courage to tell her story and everything. It'll be interesting to see what Diddy does to, kind of salvage his reputation. So far online, I've been seeing most people against him and not happy, obviously, with this type of behavior. We also saw him out in Miami outside of his house shortly after all of this was coming out, and he looked, solemn. He looked upset. Disheveled. And to me, felt a little posed. We haven't really seen Diddy out. So now here he is looking super upset after all these claims came out against him. So I think that's just the very beginning of how am I going to make sure that my reputation doesn't go down the drain.
Right. And then also, I think the biggest thing is when this type of stuff happens is over the next 3 months, 6 months, etc. How many people come out within that story and corroborate it? So are there other victims potentially or victims of Diddy that back up Cassie and say, yes, this did happen? And that usually for me gives a little bit more of a, like you said, ganging together more people to be like, okay, or there's smoke, there's fire, right? And then Diddy has a big problem, I think, but also it's just getting justice for people, even if it is monetary. I don't know, who know? There's nothing that I'm sure can fulfill that, that pain.
And I think that's the thing. There isn't much that can really fulfill it. I think you try to do different things and you try to figure out what's right, but it really is up to that person to decide like what is enough almost to make it worth it, or there probably is nothing. So they're just kind of doing anything they can to make it somewhat better. But even with Diddy, more people coming forward, it's sad to say, but he is like such a high up person that I think you need more and more people, but sometimes they're untouchable in ways.
Well, and that pisses me off a little bit, just in the fact that Diddy, I think, has outside of this, for the most part, has such a good reputation within the music industry, within the business community as well, that it's just like, I don't know. You don't know like who else is out there. And the other thing is too is, how did this stay quiet for so long?
Yeah.
How is this happening?
I think personally he should have taken that deal, that $30 million deal, and to keep everything hush hush, because even if he doesn't get quote unquote taken down, like his reputation is going to be smeared because of this. So if he really wanted to keep it quiet, I'm surprised he didn't take the deal before she filed the lawsuit personally.
Yeah. Especially
30 million. Is that really that much for him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Not saying that's right or wrong, but
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope more people come along and corroborate this story and say this is what this is, and like,
yeah,
that's me. I don't know, but
we'll have to see.
And then it just gives it more freaking validation to that person is this person, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, but that basically happened, and like you said, it settled overnight, over 24 hours. So like
so quick. Filed Thursday, news came out Friday morning. I mean,
that tells me there was some truth to it.
Oh yeah.
We don't want this getting in the news. Settle. I don't care how much money, settle it right now.
Just the craziest settlement. Yeah, we don't know those numbers, so.
But then staying in, because I know that we've talked about this so much in the music world, but also Taylor's tour. We have been leading up to it with her and Travis's relationship.
Yeah.
They were down, and she's doing the South American leg of that tour right before the holidays. But unfortunately, there was like, I don't know. It's been not great news in South America right now. The Brazil show, right?
Yeah, Taylor Swift was there. She was supposed to perform 3 shows back to get back. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. She did perform on Friday, and that was when the heat levels it was just super hot in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
And they were saying it was above 100 degrees, reaching temperatures of up to 140 degrees, that especially with all those people like locked up being so close to each other, that stadium was all general admission. So it was on a first come, first serve basis. So not only are you standing in that heat for the show, you're also standing in lines, waiting to get in there, waiting to get as close as possible, everybody kind of bunching up all together to get the best view. Anyways, though, a 23-year-old Anna was standing in the front line, and she ended up fainting right before the show started, and they had to revive her. She was out for about 40 minutes, and she was taken to a nearby hospital by ambulance. She ended up passing away right before she got there. So yeah, just a really sad death. And you could see Taylor like throwing water bottles into the crowd. It's bringing up a lot of questions, though, if the stadium really was taking the right precautions. Not that there's anyone really to blame, but just I guess there was some speculation that they were not giving out water bottles. And also there's the classic like stadium rule where you can't bring any liquids in, which I feel like those rules should be bent a little bit if it's such a hot day. Like let them bring water bottles in with a closed cap. You know what I mean? So I guess they weren't letting that happen.
Yeah. I just don't even know, the whole general admission thing seems so ignorant and so shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
Like this idea that it is first come, first serve and you don't have assigned tickets or seats.
Yeah.
And even with the floor,
that seems, that was told from like multiple people that were at the show. Maybe they had seating at the top layer and maybe it's just for the down near the pit area.
Yeah.
Cause that I've heard is more common, but I don't know. She hasn't really done that at her shows where everything is GA. But yeah, they were just saying that everybody was kind of pushing towards the front, which is common in the pit area.
And did we see any visuals or video of similarly, this year specifically, we've talked so much about the safety and relationship between the performer, but then also the fans. If you go all the way back to the beginning of summer this year when fans were throwing things at artists.
Yeah.
But then also you go back a couple of years to Travis Scott and Astroworld, and then the big kind of opposite switch up of, people were almost overly observant of what was going on in the crowd, right? Like helping people out.
Yeah.
Did it seem like when she fainted, Taylor noticed that? Did they stop the concert?
It was before the show had even started.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Taylor wasn't even on
So I don't think she
stage.
was made aware of it until after the fact. Yeah.
So she did the show, essentially.
She did the show. She did the whole entire Friday show. There's even video of Taylor throwing water into the crowd.
Yeah.
There's also video of Taylor, like, struggling to breathe. Like, you could see her really trying, and then all of a sudden she kind of pulls it together and then turns towards the audience. So even she was struggling, being up on the stage by herself. I'm sure going backstage and grabbing water in between each song and different things like that, or different sets. So I don't know. I just feel like that also showed the severity of what was going on, and they probably should have. You can't say shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it should have been more considered to cancel that concert sooner.
Postpone it at least, something, right?
Which she ended up postponing the Saturday show, is what happened.
Because I assume it was still very hot.
Yeah, it was still hot. It cooled down a little bit. I think it was out of respect for the person who had died. But then also it was still just unsafe. So she wanted to keep her crew and everybody safe as well. So that's been rescheduled to Monday, so tonight. And then she also performed on Sunday as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot. And that's the thing. I just feel like with stories like this and different things happening, it's natural, I feel, and we just went through this so much with Travis Scott and the Astroworld situation of, do you blame yourself? Like, as an artist, are you like, oh, I feel bad, I should have done something? Is it the stadium's fault? Is it the security company of the stadium employees? You know, like you said, is it the precautions of giving out water bottles, these different things? There's so many what ifs within this process. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, and I honestly think this, but I don't know, I feel like Taylor and her team are pretty thoughtful for the most part, that with these shows coming up, knowing how packed they are, how much people are willing to do to get in to see them, I would almost assume that she's overly cautious, observant about stadium procedures and protocols. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I get that from her.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I think so. And I think most artists try to do what they can, you know? It's hard to predict that something like that would happen. So I think it was smart. She canceled the next show. The temperatures were okay on Sunday, so she did that. And it looks like she's planning on doing the show Monday night too. So I guess we'll just have to see. But a little bit more, I guess, happier news.
Right.
Moving on to her relationship with Travis. Her parents and his parents and Taylor were all supposed to be on Monday night's game. Chiefs playing Philadelphia Eagles, her family's team, but also Travis Kelce's brother, Jason's team. Yeah. So a little bit of the brother rivalry there. But yeah, both families were supposed to come together for Monday. But now, obviously, with her postponing Saturday night show, she's not going to be able to make it to the Monday night show. So I wonder, like, are her parents still going to go? Probably not. Maybe there'll be another meeting, potentially Thanksgiving, because Taylor is not... she's not performing during the Thanksgiving.
Holidays.
Yeah. She'll be back on the road, though, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are we thinking? Do you think Travis and Taylor will spend any holiday together this year? She is also off after this, like, next coming weekend. She's off until February. So she's off, like, most of December.
It might be a Christmas thing.
Okay.
Right? It might be just, let's postpone this. I honestly... There's the thing. There's an opposite and equal reaction, right? If something like this happens, if they are dating, obviously they're dating, and they're very, very close, I'm sure that she'd want to be consoled by family friends, and that's Travis included.
Yeah.
But it's also, she's sad and probably is like, I want to do the show and do the best for these fans where we postpone this show, but also it's like the last thing I'm kind of thinking about is like, I don't know, Monday Night Football and my parent, the two sets of parents meeting. It's kind of like, I'd rather like make it through the holidays and see the people I love. And if that derails the like a Monday Night Football meeting, so be it. Yeah, no, I definitely don't think that they're going to try to make Monday night happen. If her parents go, cool. But I don't think I think you're right. Maybe they will do something on Thanksgiving, but it'll be very low key. I don't think we'll know much about it. And maybe they can plan for something in December. But yeah, they had openly talked that they were hoping to spend some sort of holiday together this year. And especially since they probably do have the time for it. Also, don't we know that, I don't want to say this, but Taylor Swift's kind of a maniac for the holidays, right? She loves 4th of July. I don't know
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I can see for Christmas she's going to have a big get-together with friends, family, whether
Possibly.
that's in Pennsylvania, that's in New York or Rhode Island,
or Kansas City.
or Kansas City.
He did just get that new $6 million home that's more private, so you could have events like that with Taylor.
You could. But I feel
Hater.
I feel like there will be some sort of time where she puts together some event.
Yeah.
Like that, that I'm not worried about them meeting. But we did get even more details, though, on how Travis and Taylor actually, even got in contact, really. Mm-hmm. Because all we knew before this was Travis tried to shoot a shot at her concert in Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
And basically, she didn't really notice.
Yeah, he talked about it with his brother Jason on their podcast, New Heights, but he had gone to her show at Arrowhead Stadium back in July, made the friendship bracelet, had his number on it. He was prepared to give it to her, but she didn't talk to anybody before or after, and basically security said no. So yeah, he tried to shoot a shot, didn't quite succeed, but he claims in this new Wall Street Journal interview that he just did on Monday that he had a little Cupid in her circle. Sounds like he knows someone that's friends with Taylor or is family related to Taylor, because he said that person was kind of saying, yo, did you see that Travis was at your concert on July? And it sounded like kind of putting a little bit of feelers out there for Travis. And then he also said, this is the part that kind of confused me, but I want to know who these people are. He said that at that Arrowhead Stadium, they'd made her dressing room, the locker room, right. And said that her little cousins were posing in front of his locker and taking photos. Who are those little cousins? I would need to know.
Yeah, that's the thing. But my thing on this, and we say this so often in the world of celebrity dating, is, and this is like the TikTok sounds like, why don't you just call Taylor up? Mm-hmm. Is like, Travis Kelce, you're not a nobody. In the NFL, even before Taylor Swift, right? Like, you're one of the best tight ends in the NFL, like in the elite group of players.
Right.
This makes complete sense to me, that you would, if you had contact with somebody else within somebody's circle, no different than anybody, right?
Yeah.
Trying to hit up, like, hey, mutual friend, like,
can you try and hook it up?
Introduce me.
Right.
That's where I was a little bit confused when he was like, the little cousins. I was like, how are you friends with and or related to her family members? I would have thought it would have been another model or something. Like, his team knew Gigi Hadid, or like they had the same agent or something like that, hey, can you get me the number of so-and-so, or many of her other celebrity friends? That's who I would have thought would have been the connect that was like, hey, put in a good word for me. Way before it would have been any of her actual relatives or like cousins, right?
Yeah.
That was my thought.
I was very confused by the little cousins comment. I don't know who they are. I don't know how little they actually are, but he doesn't say that was the actual Cupid. I think he's referring to someone else as the Cupid who kind of put more of the feelers out there and really sealed the deal for having Taylor reach out, which he ultimately did. Mm-hmm. And he also insinuated that Taylor was just saying like, oh, you're lucky I'm actually reaching out to you. Which I don't know if it was a playful little joke, but yeah, she ended up reaching out.
Well, my thing too is depending on how old the little cousins are too, there is something that's cute about it's almost like the Flower Girls thing or something like that, where it's like,
weird.
If they had been talking about it in the locker room, like, like the friend or whatever, or they had already started talking, but we didn't know it yet, Taylor and Travis.
Okay, that's the thing. That would mean by July they were already almost talking, really.
Which we said, we don't know how long.
Because as of right now, we're kind of saying that they started dating in September.
Mm-hmm. Officially.
Or first linked. First link doesn't always mean that's when you first started dating.
Yeah, the little
that's
cousins,
when the public found out.
I'm lost.
In September.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But
he had great things to say about Taylor otherwise too. That she's an effing genius, which we already knew that, and that he's learning new things from her every single day. There's nobody like this that has this kind of aura about her. So just praising her in all different kinds of ways. Yeah.
Doing the right things, saying the right things. Like I said, you've said it many times. I don't really think I've denied it or anything like that, but he has done a much better job, at least up until now, dealing with the fame and doing all the articles, doing the press to deal with it. I don't know.
And he says that too, because he goes, I'm really impressed by the fact, like, with paparazzi, always outside her car, always when she lands somewhere, always outside her apartment. Like, she's just out here enjoying life, looking unfazed by a lot of things. So who am I to be someone to act strange around it? Like, I'm just going to keep doing exactly what she's doing, which is taking it day by day and not making it such a grand, big deal that most people would probably see it as.
Yeah, making it bigger deal than it needs to be.
Exactly. One more thing, though, that he said was he brought up, we talked about this when Donna Kelsey did that interview with the Today Show. And she had said, when she was asked about Taylor, how was it? And she just said, oh, it was okay. It was very, like, there was a whole other interview to it. Yes, that was a clip that was kind of cut, but it seemed like she had really downplayed the relationship or how she felt about Taylor Swift. And he said that he talked to his mom about it and she felt kind of bad almost about how she reacted. And he said that she did it perfectly, though, that she was playing it cool.
He basically told his mom beforehand, be chill.
Yeah, and she went way chill.
She went really chill. And then she, I'm sure, watched it back and was like, oh, it looks like I hate her.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was like, Mom, you could have said that she was...
nice.
It was cool.
Anything.
Yeah, like, it was cool meeting her. Like, she's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be like a weirdo and be like, oh my God, she's so sweet. I love her. Like, she's the love of my life. Like, you don't say that. But then she went, yeah, just chill.
Okay. I feel like that totally happens with parents, though. You're like, okay, Mom, like, just try and be like this. Try and be like this. Yeah. And then they end up just over. Oh, yeah, they go too far sometimes, but I love it.
But I love the commitment.
Yeah,
the commitment being like, oh, you want
that
chill?
That also means she really listened to her son, too.
I'll go
something
chill.
else he talked about, too, was just, like, their values on family, too. So, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of things are working in this couple's favor.
That's great. That's great. I'm so happy.
3 months and in love.
The honeymoon phase.
Honeymoon phase,
everything's going right now for them.
Yeah. And for Snoop Dogg?
Not so much.
Not so much. Why not?
Well, he was basically he made this announcement that he was quitting weed.
Quitting smoke.
Right. And everybody thought that meant everything, which is pretty much tied to a lot of Snoop Dogg's brand, which is smoking weed.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he's always smoking weed. Who can smoke out Snoop? Nobody can. No. People have stories about smoking with Snoop. Ed Sheeran trying to get smoke him out, didn't work. Martha Stewart smoking with him. So all these people. Yeah. But even aside from all the people he smoked with, it's been such a huge thing, like you said, with his brand. So when he announced he was quitting smoke, late last week, everybody was confused,
up in arms,
shocked. Yeah. How could this happen? He actually had other people joining in on it with him. Meek Mill said that he was going to quit too. Who was it? Coi Leray had said that she was thinking about doing it, but right after Thanksgiving, which I think is hilarious. Let me get high.
Let me get through
Thanksgiving food and then quit smoking. But it turns out it was all just for a little PR. Your fave.
Yeah. Doing the brand deal with Solo Stove is basically an outdoor fire pit company, which great marketing. Great thought. My question is, how much do they have to pay him to say that he's going to quit smoking? Because that would definitely throw people off for a second on his overall brand. Mm-hmm. But obviously, if it's part of this little joke, a little skit, it's funny.
Yeah.
As long as you get it, you know.
And the fire pit is smokeless.
Right.
So that's where the no smoke comes from. Because he doesn't want to smell, which also
sticky icky
comes with weed too.
Yeah.
Don't want to smell either. But yeah, kind of a fun little thing. I don't think Snoop Dogg will ever quit smoking.
No, I don't think so either. And I just don't think that he has any plans to at this point. But I will say that he will do he will do a lot of brand deals. Mm-hmm. He loves
he loves a good brand deal.
Being a spokesperson, being in commercials, no fault. Get your bag. But at the same time, I'm like, Solo Stove?
It's kind of like Pete Davidson with all of his talk.
Pete Davidson right now, but then also Shaquille O'Neal always does like when he's the spokesperson for the General Insurance, and it's but the thing that's funny to me about it is I think Shaq is so shameless, which Snoop is kind of getting to that point too, which as long as you own it and you say, hey, I'm going to do any brand deal that comes to me, That's hilarious to me, you know?
Yeah,
like,
which is interesting because I feel like some influencers now are like, I have to really make sure the brand fits me. I don't want to like skew my viewers in a different way. And they're just like, wherever the money takes me.
Yeah.
I'm so well liked, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But it is, I guess, kind of on, I don't think it's on brand, a fireless smoke pit.
No.
Makes no sense. No.
But I think too, it's just like, as long as you have fun too.
Yeah.
If he had fun coming up with this idea with the creative team and like, oh, haha, like I'm not going to smoke anymore.
Yeah.
Then it's like, that's fun. And I picture Shaq having a ton of fun on the set of these goofy General Insurance commercial sets too. That I think they're just like, hey, I have fun doing this. They pay me, even if it's not a ton of money. Mm-hmm. It's fun, you know, and like things like that where I think that's like a part of it a little bit too.
Yeah,
you know?
Why not?
Yeah. God.
Too good. But
then kind of like too, in the celebrity world, this is on Sirius XM's radio, right?
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah.
It was talking about celebrity lookalikes. TikTok radio. Hey. Was talking about celebrity lookalikes.
Yeah.
And talking about Jared Leto and Scott Disick.
Yeah, Jared Leto was on the show with David
Burleson.
Burleson, yeah. And Davis brought it up to him that he looks a lot like Scott Disick. There's been a lot of chatter online that they're essentially each other's doppelgangers. And there was somebody on TikTok that was also talking about it, putting side-by-side images together and really showing their similarities. Mm-hmm. And Jared responded to it, finally reacted when he was on this show and was saying, great, I guess I'm a lucky guy. And I have a rich relative now, and kind of making more jokes about the money, which I thought was kind of funny because I'm pretty sure Jared Leto's worth probably more than Scott Disick. Yeah. With the movies that he's done and music and everything. So, yeah, but he had a fun little reaction to it. Do you think that they look alike?
I do think they look like, especially when they both changed their hairstyle and facial hair a lot, but when they both had the beard.
Yeah.
And when Scott had the pushed back hair, you know, he kind of like, that was like, I don't know, like 2015 or something like that, where you had like the slick back hair. That they looked very similar there.
I think Jared Leto's face is just like very much thinner. And I don't know if it's Scott's work that he's had done, the fillers, but it kind of looks a little bit fuller in some places. But like in terms of the nose, the eyes, the eyebrows, even like the lips a little bit.
Hair color.
I see the similarities, but I wouldn't say doppelganger.
Okay. There are other doppelgangers, though, within the celebrity world. You kind of actually listed them out, like Sarah Hyland, Mila Kunis. I don't know about that.
What? I think they totally do. Okay, there's better ones.
They do look alike, though.
Okay.
Katy Perry and Zooey Deschanel is a really good one.
Those two. And
they kind of, don't they sound like each other at different points? I think Zooey Deschanel can do a good impersonation of Katy Perry or something like that. Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley.
I think those two look alike too.
They do. My question is with this Isla Fisher and Amy Adams, everyone always says that.
They always say that. They always have a running joke about it.
Yeah.
Isla even one time put Amy's face on her Christmas card and sent it out as a joke, and people didn't notice. She's like, guys, that's Amy's face. So kind of hilarious. But they both have talked about it openly and said how they think it's funny.
First question. We don't really talk about this much. What is your take on Jared Leto? Like, do you have any?
Nothing.
I feel like some people have like he's like cringe or odd, and then other people are like, oh.
Didn't he like start a cult though or something? I feel like he has some weird history.
There's always rumors about that.
And he's always scaling buildings.
That happened.
Yeah, he just did that.
Has he done that a lot?
Yeah, well, he just most recently did it again. Well, first it was the hotel in Berlin. He'd done it a couple other times, and then most recently was the Empire State Building, which that was just to promote the new what's his band? That was to promote a new
30
tour.
Seconds to Mars.
Yeah. They're doing a new world tour. I don't know why you have to scale the Empire State Building for that, but
we're talking about it.
That's what they did.
He's like, job done.
Yeah.
I think he's a little odd, but I think that it's okay. The cult stuff and stuff like that, I don't know to what end that's true.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak too much to that. But I definitely think he's on the odd side of I don't have a problem with him.
Yeah. I can't make a perfect opinion for you. I would need to.
And you remember at the Met Gala when he did the head?
Yeah. Cool.
Like, I mean, what if you like got, I don't know if they have it's a charity event technically, right?
Yeah.
So they have dinner or something, I'm sure, or something like that. Yeah. It'd be funny if you just got sat next to Jared Leto, like you're at the same table and just being like.
I think the cat's head probably had its own seat.
But remember too when he did the head, his own
what are you
head?
About?
He did it Met Gala where he did one year where
I
he
was
did
talking about the cat's head.
The cat's head. That was 1 year.
Yeah.
But then he also did the
His
one where he had his own head. Don't you remember that?
Are you sure?
I will pull up the photos.
Oh my gosh.
So like imagine he like sets that down.
That's scary. That's scary. I don't know why that's making me think of the wax. What's
Madame Tussauds Wax Museums.
that? But also the movie with Paris Hilton.
Oh.
Have you seen that? If you haven't, the Wax House, Wax Museum.
Oh, I've heard of it. I don't like scary movies.
One of the most terrifying movies ever. You need to watch it. Also, shout out Paris Hilton for being in that.
That's hot.
She dies.
Right. Right.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. My other question is on the twin situation scenario. Or like, like I'm saying, like doppelgangers within the industry. Is it that good-looking people or whatever, if you objectively in celebrities, that they have like the same face shape and like they have like then the features kind of line up where it's like, oh, like they're both brown hair and then this, or like the ones where it's like when people find out later that those two are related.
Yeah.
Like that's like interesting too, where it's like, oh, so and so from Bones looks a lot like Zoe Deschanel or whoever, and then like, oh, you didn't know they're actually like.
Well, also there's a bunch of nepo babies
yeah,
in
exactly.
the industry, so it's not that surprising when some of these people look alike because they're all related.
Because they're actually related. That's what I was getting at. Is like how many of these people are actually related? And how many people like look alike?
They swear they're not, but I think that's what Jared was saying. He's like, I'd be happy to be in the Kardashian clan. Like that's one family I'd like to join.
Yeah. So that's where it's like sometimes I'm like, how do we think that like they look that similar? It's like, is there someone somewhere from old Hollywood that like
it's quite possible, or they share just a bunch of DNA.
Whatever that means.
Before we finish though, didn't mean to hit you. Suki Waterhouse and Robert Pattinson are having a baby.
Are they really?
Yeah. So they've been dating for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
And she was in Mexico performing, and she was on stage, and you could see visibly she had a belly bump.
Yeah.
Belly bump? Baby bump.
Baby bump.
Baby bump.
Belly bump.
And she said that she'd try to wear that outfit like to kind of cover it up, the glittery, try and take your attention off of it. But it's pretty obvious we're pregnant. So kind of exciting news just to end on.
Yeah.
Robin and her, there was some speculation because it looked like she was showing a baby bump last month, but obviously you don't want to jump to conclusions there.
Can I say something too?
Oh God, no.
Robert Pattinson.
You can't.
I like that relationship. Okay. I like that situation.
Okay.
I've grown to like Robert Pattinson more.
Glad that you support it.
Stamp of approval. I know that they've been waiting
exactly
for me. But Suki Waterhouse and these guys, Jacob Elordi, Pete Davidson, Robert Pattinson. There was a while where there was like a group of girls or something like that were. It was like when. When it wasn't Olivia Jade, but who was dating somebody or like Kaya Gerber, and then they like swapped.
Oh,
and Austin Butler.
Yes,
that's something
that little circle
for a long time.
Was it Suki too?
I thought Suki Waterhouse dated like Pete Davidson for a second.
Did she really? She's been with Robert for like 5 years now. I know. So I just feel like I'm not even thinking of her exes.
So there was a minute that I was like very confused.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I was very confused when like it was like, oh wait, who's dating Robert Pattinson? They've been dating for a while, and then I was like. Is it Chase Sui Wonders or is it Suki Waterhouse or is it Kaya?
Shoot.
Where I was like, because they all had kind of very distinct names. And I was like, wait, whom is this again?
Yeah, well, she dated Bradley Cooper.
Suki Waterhouse did?
Yeah.
B. Coop.
That's like her biggest ex, really.
Speaking to I'm just saying there was a while where that whole group of individuals, like, I was like, this is the same person that's dating like 5 different people. Yeah. Like they're a musician, but they're also like a model, and I was
an actor.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing too is I don't know if you saw with Bradley Cooper having that new movie coming out, I think end of this year, Maestro, on Netflix. He said he took 6 years to learn how to do the, play a maestro and an actual symphony orchestra. Yeah. For like what I think they say is 2 or 3 minutes total in the whole movie of actual. He's method a very dedicated
Well, it's just like Austin Butler saying that he practiced Elvis's accent and speech for 2 to 3 years before.
Yeah.
Dedication.
It's weird to me,
their
though.
job, though.
It's
So.
weird to me, though, 6 years. I'm like, you did other films, I'm sure, in between that time. So were there different times that you were still taking...
Time management, you know? It just sounds like he wasn't really dedicating his time in the right places.
You know why you sucked in this movie is because you were trying to play a maestro.
He could have knocked it down to 3 years.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
But I think that does wrap it up for this Thanksgiving week episode. This will come out on Wednesday right before Thanksgiving, though.
Eat lots of food, enjoy time,
Have fun.
family, friends.
Get drunk.
Be good. Drink.
Have fun.
For more updates, at Playing Telephone on Instagram, TikTok, full episodes on YouTube.
Yep.
And be safe out there.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.